Hey gang, I'm Brian Clock at Clockworks, and this is another episode of True on Two. And this is as just off the cuff as it gets, right? You guys pulled up and you said, hi, I'm Josh, I'm Bethany. Yeah, we're from London. Oh, okay, so you just jumped over and you got here, right? And that's not the truth. I knew you were coming because Vanessa from She Rides Moto said that you guys were going to share a room out in the hills or share an Airbnb or whatever you're doing, and that you were going to be traveling, but you were meeting up here. So you were coming down from Minneapolis or somewhere, right?
Yeah. Somewhere in the States.
Somewhere. Oh, okay. You came from Milwaukee. All right, perfect. I said, I want to come to London. And the first thing out of your mouth was, the roads are totally different. Are you sure you want to do that, right? Yeah. And what's funny is, I've done some work with the folks at Triumph. And so when we would talk about it, I said, yeah, the funny thing is over there, you ride 80 miles and, you're in the water, right? Here, you go 320 miles to Sturgis and then you go left, right? And so that's kind of it's completely different. So have you ridden in the U.S. before?
No, never. I drove a car in the US before, but not ridden motorcycle.
And so you rented the bikes in Milwaukee? Was that your first stop, or where did you start at? Yeah, right on.
Yeah. Well, flew into New York and all that. Had some drama.
Oh, drama's getting here.
Yeah.
It was like 2 days to get here. It was all like flight cancellation. There was storms in Milwaukee, so yeah, it took ages. But as soon as we got here and we got on the bikes, we were like, this was worth it.
Right on. Well, we're so glad you're here. And I've been going to Sturgis since I was 8. So 48 years now. I'm 56. So just to know that much history of Sturgis is crazy for me. Yet I pound my fist pretty hard for people coming into South Dakota, right? I love that you're here. I love that we get to host you. And because we're in Mitchell, South Dakota, we're just on the east side of the state, town of about 15,000 people. And then your next stop will be Sturgis in your 4-hour drive, right? Mm-hmm. And it just makes it fun for us. But as you guys walked in here and you saw our shop and, and you're like, whoa, there's a lot going on here. And there is. But then all of a sudden, Shelton, who's on the backside of this camera, is like, wow, that's Bethany. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's supposed to mean something to me? and he goes, no, but she does a podcast. And, they're from England. And I'm like, no, I figured that part out on the curb. So, So tell me. What's the podcast? How does this work? What happens?
So it's all about female riders. It's called Biker Chick Chat.
Okay.
To be fair, I've not done any in a little while. It's very time consuming, as I'm sure you know, with the editing. But I started it out of wanting to promote female riders,
right on.
Especially in the UK. It's still a massive minority women riders, which is why I've got so many friends in the US, because so many more women here ride.
Right.
But I just wanted to share, ladies' stories of how they got into riding, and to kind of like try and get more women into it. If they hear inspiring stories, then they're more likely to be like, hey, I can do that, and then do it. So.
Yeah. And so, again, just so everybody knows, if they want to find the podcast, they would search under
Biker Chick Chat.
Biker Chick Chat. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then they can follow you on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Because it's Biker Bethany on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Josh is HarleyBoytv. Okay. And then I'm going to let you describe this because you just used the perfect word. So go ahead. You have one more Instagram.
So our collective is 2 tanks full.
They're a couple, but if you want to be a cool couple, you call yourself a collective. I had no idea. I'm going to tell my wife we're a collective. I sound so much more fun, right? I was like, that's awesome. So how did you two meet? Let's start there.
Through Harley Davidson.
Yeah, well, it was, yeah. So local dealership to where me and Beth live is Sykes Harley Davidson. So one of the guys there, so long story short, he messaged me saying, oh, there's a girl doing a bike test out of the Harley dealership. And at the time I worked with a friend doing some clothing stuff. So he said, oh, there's this girl that's coming here. She looks like she'll be perfect for the clothing. So obviously got him to send me like the Bethany's profile. Then obviously straight away I was like, forget the clothing.
Yeah.
He slid in the DMs.
And it worked. So at the end of the day, you must be a hell of a salesman.
We tell different sides of this story. To me, it was graft for absolute months. I got solid friend zone and then managed to get out of it. So, but Beth reckons it was only a few weeks of hard graft, but like eternity.
Well, not going to give it to you easy, am I?
That's
it was just cool, obviously, we've got the tattoos in common. We're both obviously riding Harleys at the time. Well, Beth was, had a Harley, but was learning to actually ride.
Yeah.
So it was, all kind of and we were both barbers as well at that time as well. So it was all kind
Really?
of, yeah,
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah, it was meant to be, as they say.
Perfect. And so, how was it that you even get started in the Harley thing, being from England? What was the, like, growing up? I mean, whoever wants to go first, just.
It was my dad. He
Yeah.
rode a Harley growing up. He had a Rocker C.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he customised it to look nothing like a Rocker C. And I grew up on the back of that bike, and we done.
Wait. Okay, back up. If you grew up on the back of a Rocker C, and go ahead, Google this for those of you who don't get it, okay? Rocker C is like this, and there's a seat.
Yeah.
Huh?
your
That is
shoulder.
not a seat. That's a perch for a bird. That's bullshit.
Quite literally, yeah. So when he had it,
So as a kid, you're scared to death because you're like, Dad, I'm back here. I'm up on this thing. Yo, me back here. No, I'm not. I wish I was joking. I'm not joking.
I'll have to find some pictures, but yeah, like when
That's
he
got to
had
be
it
scary as
custom,
hell.
He did the custom seat that they had made had a literally this size for my back to rest up. But
How old were you?
gosh, I mean, how old must I have been? That's hard. I must have been from maybe 10 or something like that onwards. Yeah. That's it. I loved it. From the moment I got on that, I loved it. Like the roar of it, everyone looking, and it was a weapon, that thing. It
Okay,
made
so let's be clear. She's an adrenaline junkie
Yeah,
because
yeah.
as a 10-year-old, she's riding on a Rocker C, right? Okay, perfect. Now try to trump that, Josh. How did you get into motorcycles?
My
You
mum
should have
doesn't
went
ride,
first.
my dad
You should have
doesn't
went
ride.
first.
Well, apart from my brother, he was the only one that actually rides in our family, but he's more sports bikes. So he got me into bikes early on, into more of a sports bike, and then he had a few custom Yamahas, and one of his friends had a Harley at the time, and I was like, oh, that's pretty nice, kind of
Yeah.
like that. Then I went through the phases of motocross bikes and kind of 125 fake super bikes. And stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I moved nearer to where we met, all of my friends that I kind of made at that point all were on Harleys. So then obviously I thought, well, living in Brighton's quite a congested place for cars. So I was like, I need to do a bike test. And then obviously having all my friends on Harleys, they were like, you got to get a Harley. So I was like, go have a look. And ended up getting a street rod as my first one. First proper bike as well. And yeah, kind of just like went from there really. And then never really looked back. I've never been a huge sports bike person. I've ridden a few, my brother's got them, and just as soon as I got on that Harley, I was like, yeah, this is the. I like the flat track style, I like the chopper style, all of it. There's so much customization that I think you can get from just one engine compared to like a sports bike. It's always going to look similar.
Yeah, a little bit.
It was stuck straight away.
And so now your dad is just over the moon happy.
Oh yeah, like that first. He was the one that encouraged me to do my license. Of course, I always knew that I wanted to. And that first ride out that we had together, it was so surreal because I'd be on the back of his bike, just picturing one day being on
doing
my
this,
own bike. So to do that was amazing.
Well, and that's awesome. I mean, that makes you the perfect host, right, for your podcast, right?
Sure.
Because you've had that experience. You rode from the back. You watched it happen, and you were just thinking, man, one day that would feel so empowering for me, right?
Yes.
To be able to do that. And now you just want to encourage other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're not going out buying a Rocker C saying, hey, I'll give you a ride, like your dad, but I mean, it's good.
That could be an extended part.
Yeah. When this podcast becomes famous, just remember, you heard it here first. There will be
the full experience.
There'll be the Biker Chick podcast, Rocker C test ride. If you think you can be a biker, step on the back. Bethany's going to give you a rip around.
Test one.
Yeah, and we'll just see if you make it through downtown Brighton, and we'll see how this goes, right?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
Okay, so fast forward to today, right? I mean, how long have you been planning to come to Sturgis? Obviously it's been on your list, right?
Well, just coming to America, period, has been on our bucket list to eventually have some way of coming across here, whether it's through partnerships or like working with Harley and stuff like that. It's always been on the list, but we always thought it's going to be top tier.
Yeah,
we'll get there. So to have only been doing this a couple of years, to then have an opportunity where it just kind of fell into our lap, we were like, you just got to go with it.
Yeah,
nice.
It's like social media has up and downs, doesn't it? But the one side I loved about it is how you can connect with people from all over the globe that you wouldn't usually be able to.
Right.
And then to have the opportunity for, you know, to be able to come here and stay with some friends that I've met
Right.
online and to make it all a reality is just incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and Vanessa had met online,
Yes.
but never in person.
No, never.
And so literally today I saw you pull up and I'm like, oh, are these customers? And then I'm like, no, this is the people Vanessa was describing. They need to come back and meet Vanessa. And so you guys come in the back and I feel bad now, right? Because I rushed you right through the showroom because everybody was up here eating lunch. We want to make sure you got to sit down and eat something and hang out. But this, what you see as Clockworks, wasn't always like this, right? And so we started in a little tiny garage, which is, you can see out those windows, and it was 700 square foot. Then we moved into this, and this was all a shop back here. And then now it's this fantastic dream shop. It's like a fort for big kids, I always say.
A great
it's just,
collective of people.
yeah, it's a great collective of people. You're going to learn that word. You want me to spell it for you? So, and so the beauty is when you're doing this, right, it's just so fun because truly this is just a gathering place, right? And it always has been. Even when I was in the little garage, it became a gathering place. And so what I think is fun about social media is that if you use it properly and you use it for the greater good, instead of just going out there and spewing negativity about a brand you don't like or something you don't like, let's see if you can make a difference. Let's see if you can make some good difference, right? And in that, you get to meet people, you get to connect with people, you get to just hook up all the dots, right? And so it's no, mystery to me that, Shelton goes, oh, that's Bethany, and she has this podcast. It's pretty cool, right? Like, I don't know, right? And so as we talk about even doing this, we're in the current state of building a studio downstairs to do this. And so I wasn't joking when we were on your vlog, right? I'm serious. Next year, if you want to come to Sturgis or anytime, right? Please come back and you can be the host. We'll open up the studio to you and you bring the people here, okay? Because for us, it's just about the camaraderie of motorcycling.
Yeah.
It's another word that begins with C. You can use it. You can have that one, right? But the camaraderie and the connection between people is so great. And so when you're in England, right, everybody knows that as, Triumph, right? But you're totally into Harley. What's the Harley scene like in England? In England? I mean, what does it feel like?
It's definitely not as big as it is out in the States. I would definitely say a lot more people are Triumph or like Hondas.
Definitely, yeah.
There's not a huge Harley scene.
I feel like
a lot of people on them, but
were made for the American road. When you come here and actually get to ride a Harley in America, you're like, this is what
makes
it's made.
Perfect sense, yeah.
Going down the country lanes, like where we live, pothole central, do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually a bit dangerous, but we're just sort of used to it and you do it. But even when you go over into Europe, the road's so much nicer. You get back into the UK, you're like, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
But so I think the community of Harley riders there, you're all so like dedicated to the brand because you just love what the brand brings and that like sense of community, would you say,
Yeah.
Like, how often do you have events there that you can go to? Like, I mean, clearly there's nothing like Sturgis or Daytona, right?
You've got like dealerships. So like obviously the dealership where kind of we met is I do part-time work there as well, helping them with like media. So we have literally just had a big sort of weekender, so it's like a 2-day event. So we had a chapter come down to join us as well, and it had a bit of a party, some live music. So that occasionally happens maybe once or twice a year. Each dealership might throw a party, but to have like a big kind of Harley event, I don't even know if there is specific.
I don't think just for Harley. You get like rallies.
Yeah.
But it's not just for Harleys, really. It's all different bikes, which is still nice.
Yeah, for sure. And what I was always amazed at when I was there was how close something was, right? You could just ride over here and go to this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so do you feel, I mean, you're not landlocked at the UK. You can go wherever you want to go. And so to travel to those other countries, is that simple, fluid, easy?
Yeah, I mean,
Just get the train.
For us, we've done 2 Europe trips now on the Harleys, and both times. Well, the first one was call it, like the Euro tunnel sort of thing.
Yeah, so it's
Little train in it.
it goes under the English Channel, the water. They built a tunnel that literally goes under, so you can get from England to France in 30 minutes. It's like a fast train. You literally.
But they don't let you ride your motorcycle.
Yeah, you ride your
Yeah,
bike
you ride
into
your
it.
bike
You just stay on
into
it.
it.
You just ride your bike into the
Sheldon,
train.
we got to do this.
You just ride your bike into the train, wait next to it, and then the gates open and you come back out.
Okay, so there, now you got me. I've never got to ride my bike on a train.
So it's like a big
Check, I'm coming.
It's like almost like
I'm
the kind
coming.
of cargoes that you see go
Yeah.
across around here. You just
Yeah.
put into that. Obviously goes under, come out in France, and then you just kind of endless. So we done a trip last year for 2 weeks, and then we just done the 120th in Budapest. So we
Yeah.
actually flew out there with Harley UK, done the event, didn't end up getting a bike to ride there, fortunately. But then my boss and the guy that owns the dealership, John, him and two of the colleagues rode out there. And then as a joke, like they were saying, they rode there in 2 days, which for us, it's quite savage. I mean, around here, the roads are pretty long, but to get from England to Budapest in 2 days is pretty hard going. And they said that, yeah, brutal. So I made a joke and said, well, we'll ride your bike home.
Yeah.
And John went,
Yes. Okay.
Here's the keys. You do it. Oh, wow.
So we
Nice.
did it. So we luckily got another Europe trip out of it. But
Yeah.
it's
Good.
it's so easy. You can just kind of flow through, and then once you get to France, it's just train straight back to England. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Europe's lovely. We like riding there, but
Yeah.
not so much. Not really toured much of England.
Yeah, yeah.
Because just generally don't actually like riding there that much. I'm not gonna lie.
The weather's not great.
This is my country. Please don't come there.
Yeah.
That's what we say about South Dakota. We like it the way it is. Please don't join us.
Yeah, but
That's awesome.
It's just the weather. Yeah, it's never.
the weather as well. You can't rely on it, you know. But it's part of it. We ride as much as we can, but we also are doing so many trips to experience
To get out.
riding, and it's literally not right there.
So, how long will you be in the States this trip?
We got 3 weeks.
Oh, man. Nice.
Yeah.
And so, where else are you hitting? Sturgis, and then where from there?
Well, we end in LA. We're dropping the bikes in LA, so we've got
Nice.
to figure out what way to go.
No, seriously, you have not figured it out yet? You're just kind of winging it? Oh, I love that. That's the best part.
Yeah, we don't. We have like a few. Like there was Beartooth Highway or something.
Yeah, in Montana, you have to do that. Yeah.
So there's things that people have pointed out, and we'll just in the morning go there.
Yeah, we're
go
just
there.
going, should we head there? Yeah, okay. Just go.
Nice. That's epic.
At least
That's
you
epic.
kind of got like the hotel situation where you can just pull up and get somewhere. Whereas
Yeah.
we're in Europe, every morning we have to book somewhere, head to that destination. And
Once, make sure you're that far ahead and stop there. Gotcha.
Whereas here, everyone's been telling us you're likely to
Find
if
somewhere.
there isn't a room there, you go to the place next door and there'll be a room
Yeah.
there. Like so, it's been a bit easier for us here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very, very. Wing a lot of things.
So, is there anything in Sturgis particular that you were looking for, or want to see, or wanted to go to, or do, or
I just see it
just to
online,
get
and
there?
I just thought it's one of those things I just want to
Experience
go.
it, yeah. And with all the girls as well that we've met, and the guys, of course.
Yeah.
But just to be there, experience it. It's such a bucket list thing to do. I'm sure we'll want to come back and do it again, but
For sure. I can't even imagine just the jump, right? And going, okay, now what do I do, right? It's kind of like I got to judge a bike show in Qatar recently, and they literally sent me the tickets on Friday, and I left on Saturday, and so I'm like, okay, so I haven't Googled Qatar. I have no idea what the weather's like. I don't know what we're gonna do there. I don't know anything about it, and so I went for it, right?
Yeah.
And we just had the best time. It was an epic trip, right? And so these are the best trips. And so I think you're spot on the money to do it, right?
So we just kind of just say yes to a lot of stuff recently, and it's just to really rather than trying to think about it too much and should we do that? Yes, we'll do it.
it always
Figure
works
it
out.
Yeah.
Always works.
And so what Harleys do you have at home?
We've both got Sportsters actually. I've got an Iron,
Oh yeah.
like the blacked out one,
Yeah.
and
The 1200.
Okay.
Sporty, but mine's like a stunt bike. That's what I've kind of seen a lot of stuff happen in the States, and I'm just trying to bring that over to the UK. I've got a few friends already in the UK that are insane stunt riders on Harleys.
Nice.
It baffles me, but I've just kind of been adopting that. And like I said, with the Harley as a standard bike, you can do so much to it. So as soon as I saw people like flat track racing and now stunting, I'm like, that's a bit of me. So I've been doing it for like less than a year.
And so if you're looking for aftermarket parts, Is that hard to find, easy to find? How do you get it in England?
Well, there's quite a market in the UK for people that have either brought parts over or it's quite easy to access them. It's just we get heavily done with tax and stuff. If we buy something here, we have to pay tax online, and then when it turns up, you pay import fees, and then it turns up to your door and you pay something else. And next minute, it's like 3 times the cost of what the part actually was. So most people tend to make, especially stunt parts, most people make them in the UK, and there'll be people that you know who can build certain stuff. But mostly, if it's like standard parts, I just go through obviously my dealership, and they're most likely to have everything good to go really. So it's I'd say it's quite easy.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Maybe not as much as a variety,
right?
You know what I mean, unless you then have to go to outsourcing it to different.
And so, if you were encouraging someone in the UK, and especially a female, right, to get out and ride, and they wanted to ride a Harley, are people free with their bikes? Like, hey, you can ride my bike, try my bike, or are people not that cool about it?
If you knew someone.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally, like 2 minutes ago, one of our friends that we've met through the motorcycle industry, he does a lot of motocross stunt riding and that as well, and he's literally just messaged me saying, I've got the unknown industry guys from the States flying over to the UK.
Nice.
They're with Monster, and so is our friend, and he's just said, I need a bike that someone will be happy for me to stunt on. So I'm like, take my bike.
Yeah.
So like, because I know him, I'll be like, have my bike. But I don't think if some random person said, I really want to ride a Harley, I wouldn't go, at the coffee shop, go, here's the keys, have a go on mine then.
Yeah.
But you could go to a Harley dealership and just say, can I demo that bike? And then you can take it. So I think you could easily get someone who wanted to ride one on one very easily just by going to a dealership.
But it also depends on the age and stuff as well, because I don't know if you know how different it is to get your license in England. So for a starters, to ride the biggest Harley you could ride, you have to be 24 years old.
Whoa.
There's like levels.
No way.
Yeah. And then before that, you've got to be 21, I think, to get on a Harley.
So you got your...
What?
Yeah. So
why? It goes by CC size or what?
Yeah, pretty much. So you have like your 50cc moped, that's learner. And then after you've had that, when you get to 18, you can then have it to 125.
Yeah.
And then to go bigger than a 125, you then have to take a test.
Which is like 3-4 parts to the test.
Yeah, you got
this hard test.
Computer test, car park test, and then they take you out on the road and do a test.
And that's to get what size?
And that's just to get one license, which will allow you to have a variation of CC, but it's the power to weight ratio. So usually, if you're on an A2 license, which is restricted full license, you can have up to my street rod was 750, restricted down to be able to fit
like
the
450
brake horse. I think it's like 43 horsepower.
It's not.
When you want to move up again, another test.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why we stop for the 20 minutes we do and talk to these people and say, okay, tell me something, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the best part about motorcycling, right? I would have no idea. Here's how ridiculous it is. Everyone in England, if you're watching this, please come to South Dakota. You can get your license here when you're 14.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And you can ride any bike.
Anything you want. If you're big enough to hold up a gold wing, you can ride it, right? And so no kidding. Like when you leave, you'll see that Drag Specialties rigid out front, right? Our niece Kylie lives with us now, and she's 15, and she's like asked Vanessa, my wife, the other day. She said, "Could I ride that bike?" She goes, "Yeah, you can ride it. It's totally not that big. It's a 1200 Buell-powered rigid Sportster chopper, right?" She goes, "Oh, so I can just go get my license?" You're like, "Yeah, just go get your license. That's the key, right? Don't be scared. Go get your license, right?" So, I mean, that's how we empower girls here. We're just like, hit it, right?
To do to get a license, you have to just apply for it and they give you one.
So you take a written test, and then you take a riding test, and it's really not that hard. And if you flunk your written test on Friday, just come back on Tuesday and take it again. It's no problem.
So that's the other thing. It's so hard to get tests in the UK as well, especially since COVID. So much of like
Wait.
So you're looking at like months to actually get your tests booked in. It's so hard to do.
Man.
People do like lessons, so you actually book lessons to build up to the point to then do your test. You don't just turn up one day and go, "I want to do my test," and they go, "Go on then, just jump on this bike and we'll do it." They have to make you practice before they even let you even do your test.
Yeah,
So it took me a week. I literally went on the Monday, done a few days of riding, doing the car park,
Yeah.
going outside. So that on the Friday, he said, right, your test's in the morning. If you pass part 1, we'll then go to the next place and you do part 2. If you fail part 1,
You're out.
you're out. Got to do it all again.
wait like 3 months.
It's honestly, it's mental.
So when I was 17 years old, I had a Yamaha Virago, like 750. And my dad took it out to the Black Hills where you're headed and said, this thing's too small. I said, it's too small for you. I'm, a 98-pound weakling, Dad, I'm in high school, right? And he's like, well, just so we're clear, I traded your bike off. I said, you traded my bike off? What? And what am I going to ride? He goes, well, you can have my Goldwing. No, so 17 years old, I have a Goldwing, right? And in the town I'm from, it's like 350 people. There's 14 kids in my class, right? Just tiny little country town, right? And so my cousin, who was gutsy, would get on the back. And with him on the back, I had enough ballast to be able to really wheelie it because I was so tiny, I couldn't even pull it all up, right? But I just had my cousin ride on the back, and then we could ride wheelies up and down Main Street on a Goldwing.
Crazy.
So
Good.
That's crazy.
But 17 years old, I can't imagine like waiting till I'm 24. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's just that doesn't even compute for me.
And that's why I did wait until I was that age, because I knew I only wanted to ride a Harley. So I was like, there's no point doing the test before because I can't be on a Harley, and that's all I want to be on. So
Seriously, great dedication to you. That is amazing. Like I can't imagine like the panache it took to just go, that's what I'm gonna do. Then again, I would never ride on the back seat of a rocker seat, just personally. So I mean, that should have told me something right there, right? It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, I love that you guys are over here. I love what you're doing. Reiterate again for everyone at home your Instagrams and what's happening and how they can connect with you guys.
Sure. So I'm Biker Bethany. You can find me on most platforms on there. And our joint account is 2 Tanks Full.
Okay, but it's not really called a joint account.
It's a collective.
It's a collective, ladies and gentlemen.
And
I feel like a
you'll-
collective is actually more than 2 people. But
Oh, whoa, no,
I
hey,
don't know.
hold
Maybe
on.
I've got it wrong.
Hey, you might want to go to 2 Tanks Full, and it might be 3 Tanks Full or 4 Tanks Full. The collective is growing. Stay tuned. Drama at 11.
Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, mine's HarleyBoytv, and yeah, we just do everything together now, so it's kind of all just merged into that one account.
Nice.
Makes it easier.
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for making Clockworks one of your stops.
Yeah.
Thanks
And
for having us.
it's always just fun to learn about people and how they got to motorcycles, even if it was on the back seat of a rocker seat. So stay tuned. True on 2. Thanks.